Greetings, dear friends. Welcome back, my dear. We are truly grateful for your presence with us today. We have a delightful new tale to unveil for you. Shall we commence our journey? Allow me to introduce myself. I am James. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where the spark seems to have dimmed, and you can sense that it's no longer flourishing? And within your heart, you understand that it will not resolve itself by mere chance. Yet you cling to hope, yearning for your partner to recall the beauty of what once was and to make an effort anew, or to recognize the depth of your struggle and ultimately meet you in the middle. Yet, more often than not, such moments remain elusive. As we linger in that place, it gradually unravels us, piece by delicate piece. That is the tale of my experience. At first, I was reluctant to acknowledge it, yet the truth was that my marriage had been gradually unraveling for some time. I continued to reassure myself that we would rise again, just as we always had before. Yet, unbeknownst to me, Emma, my beloved wife, had already settled her thoughts. She had grown weary of the endless pursuit. She was devising a way to take all that I possessed. Upon discovering the truth of the situation, I chose not to let it shatter my spirit. I have transformed the entire course of the narrative. To truly grasp the unfolding of events, we must journey back to the very beginning. It is essential to understand the journey that led us to this moment. In the enchanting days of my college years, I crossed paths with Emma, and like many contemporary romances, our journey commenced in the digital realm. Our paths crossed on Facebook. It seems she responded to a post I shared in a group chat, and what began as a brief reply blossomed into a private message. And before I realized it, our conversations became a cherished routine. It was peculiar that she resided in a distant city, separated by hours of travel. Yet, in those early moments, the distance seemed to fade away, leaving only the warmth of our connection. Our exchanges flowed with such ease, and her laughter brought a joy to my heart that no one else could replicate. In the end, we chose to embrace the journey of a long-distance relationship. It was a challenging endeavor. Our encounters graced the passage of time every 2 or 3 months, dictated by the whims of our schedules and the gentle constraints of our finances. Those journeys blossomed into the most cherished moments of my existence. Each encounter brimmed with warmth and fervor, for we understood that our moments together were fleeting. Each day felt like an eternity as I awaited her arrival, and in her presence, the world seemed to align in perfect harmony. In that moment, there were no distractions, only the two of us, savoring each precious second together. We endeavored to etch those fleeting days into our memories, cherishing them until our next rendezvous. I found myself profoundly in love. The distance that lay between us held no significance in my heart. From the very beginning, I felt an undeniable desire for this to flourish. Upon completing my college journey, fortune smiled upon me a year later as I secured a remote position at a distinguished tech company. This allowed me the freedom to work from any place I desired. It was then that I resolved to draw nearer to Emma. It was not a matter of pressure from her. In truth, I found no need for persuasion. I longed to be close to her. I believed that proximity would enhance our connection, and for a time it truly did. Residing in the same city at last bestowed upon us the cherished, ordinary relationship we had long pursued from afar. After nearly a year of sharing our lives in close proximity, we made the beautiful decision to unite in marriage. Her family, steeped in Orthodox Jewish traditions, exuded a sense of timeless elegance, and I must admit, I felt a flutter of apprehension about my acceptance among them. To my delightful surprise, they embraced me with warmth and grace. Their unwavering support filled my heart with joy, and it truly meant the world to me that they embraced our relationship with such warmth. Our wedding was a cherished gathering, filled with the warmth of close family and dear friends. Yet, the dimensions and the setting held no significance for me. What held significance for me was that I was uniting in marriage with the woman I cherished. On that day, we were united as husband and wife, forever entwined in love. It seemed as though the dawn of something exquisite was upon us. Yet, life possesses a remarkable ability to transform circumstances, often in ways that surprise us. Once we exchanged our vows, life settled into a comfortable rhythm for a time. After nearly 2 years, an enticing job offer arrived from a tech company nestled in the heart of San Francisco. While it lacked the seclusion of my former position, the compensation was undeniably more generous. It seemed like a chance one simply could not refuse, particularly in light of the ever-rising tide of inflation and living expenses. Emma and I shared our thoughts, and she concurred that the idea of moving held a certain charm. Thus, we gathered our belongings and ventured to a serene suburb, just a stone's throw from the bustling city. It was a significant transformation, yet in that moment we were both wholeheartedly in agreement. Once we found our footing, Emma gracefully embraced a role as a middle school teacher at a nearby school. It was a reliable position, and she appeared to be content with it. She gracefully adapted and crafted a delightful routine. It was evident that she, much like myself, was endeavoring to embrace this new chapter with grace. For me, the new job arrived with an abundance of pressure. It was one of those positions where the compensation is splendid, yet the harmony between work and life is nearly absent. Long hours at the office consumed my days, as I lingered late to meet deadlines and navigated a flurry of back-to-back meetings. Even upon returning home, the glow of my laptop beckoned, with work still awaiting my attention. Though that part did not capture my heart, I gently reminded myself that this moment was but a fleeting whisper in time. If we could simply navigate through this phase, we would find ourselves in a place of greater financial security. Yet, this shift gradually transformed the essence of my marriage. Emma once lingered into the night, eagerly awaiting my return so we could share a meal or exchange the stories of our day. But those moments have faded away. As I would stroll in, often after 9, occasionally 10, the house would embrace a serene stillness. I would discover her nestled in bed, often lost in slumber. In that moment, our dialogues began to transform as well. In the past, I would inquire about her day, and she would delightfully recount tales, sharing the amusing remarks of a student or the antics of a coworker at school. Yet, of late, when I inquired, she would merely respond with phrases such as, "It was fine" or "same old," and then gracefully shift the conversation. I chose not to exert any pressure. She may not be inclined to converse, and I wished to refrain from overanalyzing the situation. What I observed, however, was that she began to venture out more during her free time away from work. Upon returning home, I would find that things had been subtly rearranged, or perhaps a delicate note would greet me, informing me of her departure. I imagined she was dedicating more moments to her friends, seeking companionship, as my presence was scarce. I never considered the possibility of questioning it. Truthfully, I found it hard to accept that anything could be amiss. To be honest, I too was not always present at home. Yet, circumstances continued to evolve. The most significant warning sign emerged when she began to behave oddly with her phone. Once, she would carelessly leave it lying about as if it were of little consequence. But now it lay always face down, shrouded in an air of mystery. She would carry it with her wherever she went, a delightful change from her former ways. Should I inquire about the identity of her correspondent, she would either stiffen or respond with an elusive remark, perhaps claiming it to be merely a friend. If I pressed on, she would recoil and claim that I lacked faith in her. In those fleeting moments, I found myself enveloped in a haze of uncertainty, questioning whether my emotions were merely an overreaction or if I was truly attuned to something deeper. Amidst all these unfolding moments, the depth of our emotional bond began to wane. We had drifted from the tender embraces we once shared, no longer enveloped in the warmth of each other's arms. Yet, I reassured myself that by not drawing attention to it, this fleeting moment would eventually fade away. I wished to spare her family from becoming entangled in it. I hold the view that married couples ought to occasionally navigate their challenges independently. Yet I found myself mistaken. One enchanting evening, I found myself concluding my meetings a touch earlier than anticipated, prompting me to return home and immerse myself in my work rather than linger at the office. I envisioned a delightful surprise, perhaps to find Emma in a cheerful spirit, allowing us to share a leisurely late lunch or simply enjoy a moment together before I returned to my tasks. The house embraced a serene stillness upon my arrival, and so I entered as I always do, with a tranquil grace. As I ventured deeper, the sound of laughter danced through the air, emanating from the living room. It was the enchanting sound of Emma's voice. With a sense of intrigue, I gently eased my pace. She engaged in a conversation with someone face to face. At first, it was difficult to discern. Yet, in that moment, I discerned the familiar cadence of a second voice. It was her dearest companion. They were lost in a moment, blissfully unaware of my presence just a few steps away. It was then that I caught the sound of Emma's voice, playfully recounting her speech about divorce. He will weep, then plead, yet ultimately, he shall still affix his signature to the documents. They shared a gentle laugh, their eyes sparkling with delight. Then she added, he's gentle, and that has slowly diminished the warmth of my feelings for him. In that fleeting moment, uncertainty enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for what to do. I lingered in that moment, poised delicately, midway along the hallway. It perplexed me that the woman I had vowed to cherish was orchestrating her departure as if it were a mere game. I found myself hesitating at the threshold, unable to step into the room. With a gentle grace, I turned around and made my way directly to my study. With a gentle click, I closed the door behind me, settled into my chair at the desk, and gazed at the luminous screen of my laptop, lost in thought for what felt like an eternity. Though I endeavored to immerse myself in my work, the task proved elusive. That night, slumber eluded me. I had been striving with all my heart to maintain our bond, believing that the quietude enveloping us was merely a fleeting moment, one we could gracefully navigate together. Yet, in that moment, clarity enveloped me. She had already departed from my thoughts, lingering only in the echoes of what once was. All that remained was the delicate dance of paperwork. I have come to a decision. If she were to bring this to a close, I would not allow her to dictate the narrative. I found it necessary to safeguard my heart, my rights, and my resources. I found myself unable to linger in anticipation of a transformation that seemed destined to elude me. I found it necessary to take the initiative. The following day, I resolved to connect with a lawyer I had encountered upon my arrival in San Francisco. I had preserved his contact information for unforeseen circumstances, though I never imagined I would require it in such a manner. The following day, I found myself seated beside him, sharing my heart's secrets with gentle candor. How I chanced upon Emma confiding in her closest friend about the impending divorce. How she has been gradually distancing herself emotionally for months. And how I began to sense that she had already distanced herself from our union. I sought his counsel on the path ahead, yearning to shield myself from the turmoil she was poised to ensnare me in. The lawyer's initial words were, "Please, file first." He shared this with me not out of malice, but rather from a place of understanding the intricacies of the system. Divorce often unfolds as an uneven contest, where one party may find themselves in a position of advantage. It becomes all too simple for an individual to sway the circumstances to their benefit, particularly if they seize the initiative early on. "You must seize the reins of this," he whispered to me. "Many gentlemen believe they are acting with honor by holding back, yet this merely renders one vulnerable to the art of persuasion. Safeguard your essence." He then shared a thought that lingered in my mind. "Select the jurisdiction that best suits your desires." At first, I found myself pondering his words, but as clarity dawned, everything fell beautifully into place. The legal landscape varies significantly from one place to another, and the choice of where to file for divorce can profoundly influence the unfolding of events. Certain realms are often perceived as more advantageous for men in matters of asset division and custody arrangements. This would grant me the opportunity to contemplate my forthcoming steps and safeguard my financial well-being. My greatest fear was for her to depart with it all, so I instructed the lawyer to expedite the filing of the divorce papers, yet I wished for it to remain discreet. Once the documents were prepared, I instructed the lawyer to deliver them at the school amidst the warmth of a potluck gathering. On the day we had envisioned for this moment, I found myself in quiet anticipation. I was aware that the papers would be delivered that afternoon. My phone vibrated moments later, and the lawyer assured me that everything was complete. Yet what I had not foreseen was the depth of the reaction that followed. The lawyer recounted how Emma had swept out of the room in a flurry upon receiving the papers. Once Emma received the divorce papers, it wasn't long before she felt compelled to reach out. The phone chimed with a gentle urgency, almost at once. I beheld it, yet I chose not to embrace it. I simply allowed it to resonate. The messages arrived in swift succession. First one, then another, and finally a third, all inquiring with the same gentle curiosity. "What are you up to, my dear?" I chose to remain silent. I was acutely aware that she was embracing the guise of the victim, yet this time, I chose not to indulge her charade. As I finally returned home that evening, a palpable tension enveloped me the moment I crossed the threshold. She stood gracefully in the living room, her arms gently crossed, her expression a delicate blend of confusion and frustration. Without a moment's hesitation, she inquired, "Are you leaving me?" She uttered it as if in disbelief, as though she had been unexpectedly taken by surprise. And I found myself pondering, how can one feign surprise when this has been meticulously orchestrated for what seems like an eternity? Yet those words remained unspoken. I whispered to her, "This is what you desired. Your intentions have been evident for some time now. Kindly affix your signature to the documents." She responded as though I had delivered a stinging blow to her very soul. Her eyes sparkled with surprise, and for a fleeting moment, I dared to hope she would finally confess to all that had transpired. Alas, she did not. Instead, she inquired, "How?" It was as though she were blissfully unaware of the words I spoke. It was beyond my wildest imagination. Could she truly feign that this was merely a grand misunderstanding? I found it hard to believe. I inhaled deeply before allowing my words to flow once more. "You confided in your friend completely. Your laughter danced around the thought of me pleading for you to remain. You claimed that I would weep, plead, and acquiesce to whatever you placed before me. You once expressed that your feelings for me had withered away." For a fleeting moment, she found herself at a loss for words. Then she inquired, her voice tinged with urgency, "Did my friend share this with you? Did she approach you with this deception?" I did not allow her the opportunity to shift the focus onto another. "No," I replied with a gentle firmness. "I have heard it with my own ears. That evening you spoke of it with such grace." Her complexion turned ashen. Yet, rather than acknowledging the truth, she attempted to dismiss it with a graceful air. "It was merely a jest," she replied swiftly, as if to sweep the entire matter aside with a graceful flick of her hand. "That was not my intention. I simply could not allow her to slip through my fingers. This moment is not meant to be. It's perfectly all right," I assured her, despite the turmoil within me. "Not in the slightest. Please proceed and embrace the decision of the divorce. It is precisely what you desired all along." Yet she declined. She implored me. "Please," she whispered. "I long to be different from this." Yet I was wise enough to resist its allure. I could perceive its essence with clarity. I never wished to be the one who clung to a fading hope, especially when it was evident that her heart had already turned away. Our union had long since lost its vitality. At last, I found peace in my acceptance. The days that followed my delivery of the divorce papers to her were among the most exhausting of my existence. Emma found it difficult to accept. Initially, she chose to overlook the papers. For several days, she refrained from signing them. She was attempting to discern whether I might alter my decision. Yet, as the days unfolded, she came to understand that it was not quite so straightforward. In the end, she decided to bring the matter before the court. I find myself uncertain if surprise was truly my response to that moment. It was approaching. She claimed I had been emotionally distant, as if my dedication to my work had caused me to overlook her for years. The accusation pierced my heart, a painful reminder of the effort I had poured into maintaining our delicate balance. Yet she had more to unveil. She further alleged that I was entangled in numerous romantic liaisons. This was an unexpected turn that caught me by surprise. The truth had lost its significance. It revolved around the art of crafting the most enchanting tale. In that moment, it seemed as though I was slipping away from victory. The entire court process unfolded with an exasperating slowness, leaving me feeling drained in a manner that words fail to capture. Time lingered, stretching into an endless embrace. Each hearing seemed to linger as if time itself had surrendered to the allure of endless moments. With each passing day, the scales of fate appeared to shift ever more gracefully in her favor. Her lawyer portrayed me as the husband who, lost in the demands of his career, had become emotionally distant from his beloved wife. They painted a compelling portrait. In the midst of it all, I endeavored with all my might to stay afloat. The legal fees were accumulating, and with each passing delay it grew increasingly difficult to maintain the hope of emerging from this ordeal unscathed, much less safeguarding what was rightfully mine. Then, one fateful day, my lawyer unveiled a captivating new strategy. He proposed the idea of enlisting the services of a private investigator. He believed it essential to uncover tangible proof that would refute her claims, something that would reveal her deeper involvement in the unraveling of our union than she had ever admitted. Initially, I found myself uncertain. The ceaseless ebb and flow had left me weary, burdened by the mounting tension that lingered in the air. Yet, upon reflection, I came to understand that if this truly marked the conclusion, I must safeguard my heart. I acquiesced. The investigator was engaged, and I could only wish that they would unveil a revelation to sway the balance in my favor. The findings of the investigation left me utterly astonished. The private investigator delved into Emma's past, particularly her experiences during our long-distance romance, and what they revealed was nothing less than enlightening. It came to light that while we were separated, she had been in touch with another gentleman, someone entirely unknown to me, and they had formed a romantic bond. The timing was what truly pierced the heart. This gentleman had recently taken up residence in the enchanting city of San Francisco, approximately a year past. It was during that period that I sensed Emma drifting away from my embrace. The investigator revealed that they had rekindled their connection after relocating to the city. All that time, while I believed she was merely lost in her own thoughts, she had been nurturing a spark with him once more. The truth struck me with a profound intensity. Now, it became clear why she had kept her distance. Her emotional distance was not a reflection of my presence. She had been overlooked, for her heart belonged to another. With this knowledge in hand, my lawyer and I set about crafting our case, delicately weaving together the threads of her betrayal. We would not allow her to cast me in the role of the villain without revealing the truth that lay beneath. With the investigator's discoveries, we possessed a compelling rationale for the unraveling of the marriage. And when the case finally drew to a close, the outcomes were far from what Emma had envisioned. The judge discerned the truth behind her allegations. Rather than receiving the grand reward she had envisioned, she departed with a sum far below what she believed she merited. The entire experience has rendered me quite emotionally weary. I found myself witnessing the delicate threads of my existence unravel, each moment slipping away like grains of sand through my fingers. And even though the divorce was granted, it felt more like a bittersweet farewell than a triumph. It seemed as though the conclusion of a cherished endeavor, one I had sought to mend with all my heart, had finally arrived. Yet, that seems to be the essence of divorce. One might anticipate a sense of relief upon its conclusion. Yet, what remains unspoken is the chaos it brings, the ache it inflicts, and the marks it leaves behind. The unfolding courtroom drama, the weighty accusations, the seemingly eternal delays. Everything unfolded as if time itself had slowed, resembling a gentle yet inevitable descent. While I find solace in its conclusion, I cannot deny that I emerged from it with my share of scars. Indeed, the legal struggle has come to a close, and I find solace in the fact that I did not lose it all. Yet, what of the emotional toll? That is a matter I shall be navigating for some time to come. Yet, I find myself pondering this question for you. If you found yourself in my position, what course of action would you have taken? Would you have stood your ground? Or would you have chosen to release it? We would be delighted to hear your reflections in the comments below. Do remember to like and subscribe if you wish to discover what unfolds next. May I pose a question to you now? Should you discover that your beloved has already resolved to depart, would you remain there, patiently awaiting the moment they choose to take that final step? Or would you seize the reins and bring it to a close yourself, before they had the chance to do it to you? Contemplate it, if you will. It is quite a challenge. Many of us hesitate to take that initial step, fearing it may signify surrender. Yet, there are moments when another's heart has already wandered away, and remaining in their presence only prolongs the inevitable, deepening the ache that lingers. Pray tell, what course of action would you choose to embark upon? Would you linger there, yearning for their return? Or would you declare that enough is enough and embrace action as I once did? I am aware of my actions, yet I yearn to discover how you would respond. We would be delighted to hear your reflections in the comments below. If this story stirred something within you or perhaps illuminated a thought, I kindly ask you to grace that like button and share this video with others. One can never truly anticipate who may find solace in those words. Perhaps there exists another soul navigating a similar journey, and this may inspire them to embrace a new step forward. In any case, I find myself truly eager to know your thoughts. Do share your thoughts and let us continue this delightful exchange.